my fellow freedom-loving sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the wild, wonderful Mountain State, and today's date is Saturday, August 14th, 2021. Yes, it's early Saturday morning, and I was just doing some rearranging here in my place. And, just a couple days ago, it was, 4th anniversary of the disturbing event that happened at Charlottesville, Virginia. Innocent people got hurt. One person passed. Of course, they want to blame it all on Jason Kessler. So blood is on his hands. Got the woman's name, unfortunately, but no one deserves to die, regardless, in these conditions, in these ordeals. But I always still say that blood's on the hands of the city of Charlottesville with the police department. And it's funny because in due time, people were seeing it a lot further. And I was watching this documentary called The Alt-Right, which I wasn't really too keen because he had some subversive thought organization, the Southern Poverty Law Center, trying to put their 2 cents in a lot of things. And said that the Confederacy, it was a battle over slavery, which was nothing more than irrelevant to an extent. Maybe to the political bobbleheads and so forth. Like Jefferson Davis, he supported slavery. And, but it's interesting about the two factions, with alt-right and Antifa. I've got the gentleman's name. Hopefully he's doing good. I know he was diagnosed with colon cancer when he did the movie. But both factions and witnesses have a lot in common. They said the police stood down, and both sides got injured too by the police as well, unnecessarily. So and I always see that as a big smoking gun, a social engineered event. Of course, there was that bastard son of a bitch, excuse my language, Nazi collaborator Jorge Soros' birthday. Yep, representing the synagogue of Satan. Yep. So his birthday was on August 12th. Sorry to hear about that. And of course, he got United Airlines wants to push. Everyone has to have the vaccine. Everyone has to have the COVID vaccine to fight, to keep us safe. Watch this one video by Dr. Fleming. Actually, 2 versions of it, 2 editions, two versions from Mike Adams from Natural News. And Dr. Fleming did a book about is COVID-19 a bioweapon. He laid down all the facts and information about this is nothing more than a synthetic virus and a poisonous serum. And what's amazing about this, Dr. Fleming did state he is pro-vaccine. So you got doctors in these fields that proclaim themselves as pro-vaccine are speaking on how dangerous these products are from Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson, are very tainted. So you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to figure that one out. Of course, people may laugh at it, but who the hell cares? It's like the time when Noah built the ark in the middle of the valley. They all laughed. Then the time came, they all freaked. Doesn't matter what your faith is. It was a very good story. Always prepare yourselves for your and your family the best of your ability, and be ready when crap hits the fan. To say that in a human way. So of course you got Joe Biden, Twilight Zone, roaming around, still don't have a clue. Take the patriotic duty to take the shot. All this same old garbage song and dance. Well, speaking of song and dance, looks like Broward County's at it again. On being government knows best. Yes, they love to contradict the Nuremberg codes, do they? Well, this one came from freeflorida.me, with published by Chris Nelson and authored as well. Came out yesterday. This is important to know what's going on because it could happen at any other place in the county. Here's unvaccinated individuals banned from being poll watchers in Broward County. Read a letter here. Let's see what Mr. Nelson has to say. In a move to help ensure Democrat victories in 2021 and 2022, the ultra-left Broward supervisor elections, Joe Scott has a written letter saying he intends to ban all individuals who have not received COVID vaccine from being poll workers or poll watchers. It has been determined that requiring all poll workers to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and its variants is necessary to minimize the risk to co-workers, the letter says. Of course, there's a pathetic mugshot of him. Scott's letter references the 2021 special elections for District 20. But if they get away with this time, you can assume their plan is to make this permanent policy for all future elections. If I'm correct, it's from the late ungreat L.C. Hastings Seats. Yeah, the man who co-sponsored H.R. 1111, having UN troops coming in if all hell breaks loose and seize firearms from the citizens. Yep, he was a globalist hack. I can say that about Hastings. Well, let's continue on here. Let me see. In the spirit of protecting you and our voters, all poll workers assigned to the November 2nd, 2021 special primary election must show proof of vaccination in order to work. The letter says, read below, the power grab by CCP-backed Florida Rising anointed candidate Joe Scott will ensure almost all poll watchers and workers will either be Democrat or Democrat sympathizers. If the push to isolate and exclude people who will not take the COVID mark is allowed to stand unopposed, within a few short years, the Democrat Party will control all levers of power at all levels in the state of Florida. A plan has been put forth to address this type of bullshit, that's what he wrote, by convening a special session of the Florida State Legislature immediately. Read here, there's a link for that. A vision must happen to secure the freedom in Florida. Update sources also saying Scott will exclude unvaccinated from the entire vote counting process. Thanks to the GOP statesman Richard D. Napoli for exposing this. Read Joe Scott's letter here. Well, I gotta say, for a rhino, Richard D. Napoli, allegedly speaking, chose wisely. Let's read what the letter has to say. It's all been redacted. Dear, it's been redacted. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your service to the voters of Broward County. Elections are not possible without your dedication to the democratic process. And this is especially true in these unprecedented times of a global pandemic. Based on our recently reported scientific data and updated CDC guidelines, it has been determined that requiring all poll workers be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and its variants is necessary to minimize the risk to co-workers, members of the public, and to the proper conduct of the election itself. Additionally, we have learned that individuals who are not vaccinated are far more likely to become sick from COVID-19 and transmit it to others. I don't know where he gets his facts from. While vaccination does not prevent individuals from becoming infected, recent data indicate that vaccinated individuals who are infected have both a reduced likelihood of serious illness and may also, for at least some variants, have a reduced likelihood of spreading the virus to others. Pretty pretentious, right? To that end, in the spirit of protecting you and our voters, all poll workers are assigned to November 2nd, 2021 special primary election, whether working at an early voting site on election day, must show proof of vaccination in order to work during the U.S. House 20 District Special Primary and Special General Elections. Bring evidence of your inoculation against COVID, 2 doses of Moderna or Pfizer vaccines, or 1 dose of Johnson & Johnson vaccine with you to your upcoming training class. The SOE will not retain copies of your vaccination records, but if proof of vaccination is not provided, you will not be permitted to attend the training or work during this election. This policy was not arrived at lightly, but rather is being implemented to ensure us we are doing everything we can to provide a safe and healthy working environment for all poll workers and reduce risk of transmission to or from the voters who will be coming to our early voting sites and election day precincts. We also believe this policy is essential to address COVID-related risk to our ability to conduct the election. Again, I appreciate all your efforts in facilitating smooth, error-free elections. See you in November. Sincerely, Joe Scott, Broward County Supervisors of Elections. Can we say flamboyancy? Absolutely. How pretentious this man thinks he is, above his oath of office, which he contradicts Article 2, Section 5 of that enactment. So, here's a problem he has on this. Has the people approved this? Because all political power is inherited in the people. The enunciation herein, certain rights shall not be construed to deny or impair others retained by the people. That's Article 1, Section 1 of the Florida Constitution. Article 1 is known as Declaration of Rights. And of course, people know their basic rights. All persons, natural persons, female and male alike, are equal before the law and have inalienable rights, among which are the right to enjoy, to defend life and liberty, to pursue happiness. I'll just leave it at that. All right, so, and it's interesting here because I will go down, because if you look at this is a smoking gun. It's called Article 1, Section 23 of the Florida Constitution, which is entitled Right of Privacy. And right of privacy reads here, every natural person has the right to be let alone and free from governmental intrusion into the person's private life, except as otherwise provided herein. The section shall not be construed to limit the public's right to access to public records and meetings as provided by law. Okay, so is this a form of government intrusion? Yes. Why? Because Joe Scott is an elected servant. He works for the Broward County government. Not that hard, correct? Absolutely. And even plus here, if you look at Florida Statute 456.057, ownership and control of patients' records, report or copies of records to be furnished, disclosure of information, subsection 7A. Except as otherwise provided in this section, and is in statute 440.13, subsections 4C, such records may not be furnished to, and the medical condition of a patient may not be discussed with any person other than the patient, the patient's legal representative, or the other health care practitioners and providers involved in the patient's care or treatment, except upon written authorization from the patient. However, such records may be furnished without a written authorization, the following under. So it's all like patient's consent. Okay, so that's really it. The truth of the matter is, you don't have to give them a damn thing. Okay, you don't have to give them anything. Right there, that's another violation issue. Privacy. And here, if you remember, Broward Resolution, May 6, 2003 to be exact, that got passed, affirming the civil rights of all residents of Broward County. If you read the southern provision of this, Says here, whereas the Bill of Rights of the United States Constitution and the Constitution of Florida guarantee those living in the United States the following rights: freedom of speech, assembly, and privacy. Okay? Privacy. Equality before the law and presumption of innocence, access to counsel, due process in the judicial proceedings, and a protection from unreasonable searches and seizures. Wow. So, self-explanatory. You gotta get the Broward County commissioners vote on this, and everyone in Broward County Columbia subdivisions have to honor that. Your civil rights in Broward County. So, I'll just go a little bit further here. It's just one of those things, right? Absolutely. So this is why it is important for folks to know you got rights. He's breaching it. And I just sent him information on this as well on his Facebook page and Twitter. I'm going to have to give him a call. Go, hey, can you explain why you're contradicting your oath of office? With all due respect. Those are the facts, folks. What else do you want to do? Well, here's an interesting, good concept here by the Rutherford Institute. It says here, Rutherford Institute issues guidance on how to request a religious exemption for COVID-19 vaccine mandates in the workplace. It says here, in responding to concerns from employees in both public and private sector about workplace requirements regarding COVID-19 vaccines and a desire to express their religious objections to such requirements, the Rutherford Institute has issued a guidance and in-depth fact sheet and model letter for those seeking religious exemption to a COVID-19 vaccine in the workplace. For good or bad, has changed the way we navigate the world and the way in which people exercise our rights. As a result, we find ourselves grappling with issues that touch on deep related moral, political, religious, and personal questions from which there may be no clear-cut answers. The constitutional attorney John W. Whitehead, president of the Rutherford Institute and author of Battlefield America, The War on the American People. One thing is clear, however, while the courts may defer to the government's brand of nanny-state authoritarianism, we still have rights. The government may try to abridge those rights. It may refuse to recognize them. It may even attempt to nullify them, but it cannot erase them. Daily growing numbers of public and private employers are requiring employees to be vaccinated against COVID-19 and using threat of termination to force acceptance of the vaccine. Unfortunately, legal protections in this area are limited. While the American with Disabilities Act, those who can prove they have a medical condition that make receiving a vaccine dangerous, employees must be able to prove they are sensitive to vaccines. The requirement established by Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that employers provide religious accommodation may be invoked by employees who have sincere religious beliefs against receiving vaccinations. But an employer's duty of accommodation is not absolute, and if it can show that accommodating the worker's objections to vaccines will refer with this operation of workplace safety, the employee may face the choice between keeping her job or violate her religious beliefs. Title VII prohibits employment discrimination based on religion. Title VII further defines religion broadly to include not only beliefs, but also religious practices and observance. As a result, the federal employment discrimination law forbids discharging an employee because the employee chooses to engage in certain conduct or not engage in certain conduct. That is part of the employer's religious beliefs and practices, and holds that someone cannot be discriminated against by their employer based on their religion unless the employer cannot reasonably accommodate an employer's religious observance or practice without undue hardship on the conduct of the employer's business. Although there have been very few cases, they have dealt specifically with the Title VII's ban on employment discrimination based on religion and in the context of religious objections to vaccines mandated by the employer. It appears established that if an employee holds sincerely held religious beliefs in opposition to receiving a vaccine, an employer that has a rule requiring that a vaccination must reasonably be accommodate the employee's beliefs. For an employee who objects to an employer's vaccine requirement, the first step is to give notice to the employer of the religious objection to receive the vaccine. To this end, the Rutherford Institute has provided a model letter for use in requesting a religious exemption from COVID-19 vaccine mandate in the workplace. Rutherford Institute, a nonprofit civil liberties organization, provides legal assistance at no charge to individuals whose constitutional rights have been threatened or violated, and educates the public on a wide spectrum of issues affecting their freedoms. And you can get these links, the fact sheet and the model letter. I might be using this as well. And I'd like to talk to everyone else that's involved in labor organizations, okay, including the National Football League, the NFL Players Association. They're claiming they never really voted on this. As far as I'm concerned, those are charges against those officers. If you look at your bylaws, those constitutional officers are said they're going to bypass everything, make a constitutional officer's lateral decision. You know that, I don't know. It's irrelevant because here the fact is this. You know who's the boss in that movement? The members, the players themselves. They're the boss. That's just an example. So I encourage everyone, too, who are in the unions. I know a lot of them are fighting, like the postal workers, okay, which is fantastic. I know they had a deal. Firefighters have having a dispute with them as well. I talked about that in my past episode. I thank Chris Nelson for that article as well. Fight for your rights, folks, okay? And that's why we always know your contract. Know it. Every union worker has an obligation, whether you're a member or not, to know your contract. If you work in a facility that has labor union representation, you have that right. And always look at your policy agreements too. Like some corporations, before you get hired, they have you fill out a policy agreement. You have to get a copy of that, including the work rules, because it's good to know these things. All right? Then if there's religious beliefs on there, you can use that against them too. All you got to see, folks, the whole thing is this. You're a human being, not a number, not anyone's corporate whore. It's plain and simple. They're trying to the whole thing is they're going to try to get a bunch of individuals that will, if they don't take the shots, they're going to try to hire people out of the country, less skilled work, pay cheaper, and the service will be garbage. That's what they want to do. They want to get a bunch of zombies in there, or just labor-ready folks to do your profession, which is very dangerous indeed. So this is how I examine this. Implement your rights, folks. Trust me, we will win this. Never live in fear. Action conquers it. All right, folks, that will be it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media network. If you have any questions, comments, and something interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence to Cora. Furthermore, I'll leave the footnote of this article and all the additional memos on my Spreaker page. And if you want to contact me, you can go to Loki Luck numbers 03@protonmail.com. Do a donation. You can go to paypal.me or cash.app/Loki Luck number 3. Support Chris Nelson, Free Florida, and the Rutherford Institute. These guys, they're fantastic, fantastic stuff here. They got fantastic information. And hey, it's like this, my friends. We're not doing this for our health. We're here to we really want to make sure you folks have the right to know the truth, because the mainstream garbage media don't want you to know. All right, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.